Chapter 26, page 101. Exhortation to seize Italy and to free her from the barbarians. Thus, having considered everything discussed above, and thinking to myself whether in Italy at present the times have been tending to the honor of a new prince, and whether there is matter to give opportunity to someone prudent and virtuous to introduce a form that would bring honor to him and good to the community of men there. It appears to me that so many things are tending to the benefit of a new prince that I do not know what time has ever been more apt for it. And if, as I said, it was necessary for anyone wanted to see the virtue of Moses, that the people of Israel be enslaved in Egypt, and to learn the greatness of spirit of Cyrus, that the Persians be oppressed by the Medes, and to learn the excellence of Theseus, that the Athenians be dispersed, so at present to know the virtue of an Italian spirit, it was necessary that Italy be reduced to the condition in which she is at present, which is more enslaved than the Hebrews, more servile than the Persians, more dispersed than the Athenians, without a head, without order, beaten, despoiled, torn, pillaged, and having endured ruin of every sort. And although up to now a glimmer has shown in someone who could judge that he had been ordered by God for her redemption, yet later it was seen that in the highest course of his actions he was repulsed by fortune. So left as if lifeless, she awaits whoever it could be that will heal her wounds and put an end to the sacking of Lombardy, to the taxes on the kingdom and on Tuscany, and cure her of her sores that have festered now for a long time. One may see how she prays God to send her someone to redeem her from these barbarous cruelties and insults. One may also see her ready and disposed to follow a flag, provided that there be someone to pick it up. Nor may one see at present anyone in whom she can hope more than in your illustrious house, which, with its fortune and virtue, supported by God and by the church of which is now a prince, can put itself at the head of this redemption. This is not very difficult if you summon up the actions and lives of those named above. And although these men are rare and marvelous, nonetheless they were men, and each of them had less opportunity than the present, for their undertaking was not more just than this one, nor easier, nor was God more friendly to them than to you. Here there is great justice, for war is just to whom it is necessary. Arms are pious when there is no hope but in arms. Here there is very great readiness, and where there is great readiness there cannot be great difficulty, provided that your house keeps its aims on the orders of those whom I have put forth. Besides this, here may be seen extraordinary things without example, brought about by God. The sea is open, the cloud has escorted you along the way. The stone has poured forth water here, manna has rained. Everything has concurred in your greatness. The remainder you must do yourself. God does not want to do everything so as not to take free will from us in that part of the glory that falls to us. And it is not a marvel if none of the Italians named before has been able to do what it is hoped will be done by your illustrious house, and if in so many revolutions in Italy and in so many maneuvers of war, it always appears that military virtue has died out in her. This arises from the fact that her ancient orders were not good, and that there has not been anyone who has known how to find new ones, and nothing brings so much honor to a man rising newly as the new laws and the new orders found by him. When these things have been founded well and have greatness in them, they make him revered and admirable. And in Italy matter is not lacking for introducing every form. Here there is great virtue in the limbs, if it were not lacking in the heads. Look how in duels and encounters with few the Italians are superior in force, dexterity, and ingenuity. But when it comes to armies, they do not compare, and everything follows from the weakness at the head, because those who know are not obeyed, and each thinks he knows, since up to now no one has been able to raise himself both by virtue and by fortune to a point where the others will yield to him. From this it follows that in so much time and so many wars made in the last 20 years, when there has been an army entirely Italian, it has always proven to be bad. The first testimony to this is Taro, then Alessandria, Capua, Genoa, Vela, Bologna, Mestre, Mestre. These are 7 battles that were Italian defeats from 1495 to 1513. Thus, if your illustrious house wants to follow those excellent men who redeemed their countries, it is necessary before all things, as the true foundation of every undertaking, to provide itself with its own arms. For one cannot have more faithful, nor truer, nor better soldiers. And although each of them may be good, altogether become better when they see themselves commanded by their prince and honored and indulged by him. It is necessary, therefore, to prepare such arms for oneself, so as to be able to, with Italian virtue, to defend oneself from foreigners. And although Swiss and Spanish infantry are esteemed to be terrifying, nonetheless there is a defect in both, by means of which a third order might not only oppose them, but also be confident of overcoming them. For the Spanish cannot withstand horse, and the Swiss have to be afraid of infantry if they meet in combat any that are obstinate like themselves. Hence it has been seen, and will be seen by experience, that the Spanish cannot withstand French cavalry, and the Swiss are ruined by Spanish infantry. And although a complete experiment of this last has not been seen, yet an indication of it was seen in the Battle of Ravenna, when the Spanish infantry confronted the German battalions who used the same order as the Swiss. There the Spanish, with their agile bodies and aided by their bucklers, came between and under the Germans' pikes and attacked them safely without their having any remedy for it. And if it had not been for the cavalry that charged them, they would have worn out all the Germans. Having thus learned the defects of both of these infantry, one can order a new one that would resist horse and not be afraid of infantry. This will be done by a regeneration of arms and a change in orders, and these are among those things which, when newly ordered, give reputation and greatness to a new prince. Thus, one should not let this opportunity pass for Italy, after so much time, to see her Redeemer. I cannot express with what love he would be received in all those provinces that have suffered from the floods from outside, with what thirst for revenge, and with what obstinate faith, with what piety, with what tears, what doors would be closed to him, what peoples would deny him obedience, what envy would oppose him, what Italian would deny him homage. This barbarian domination stinks to everyone. Then may your illustrious house take up this task with the spirit and hope in which just enterprises are taken up, so that under its emblem this fatherland may be ennobled, and under its auspices the saying of Petrarchs may come true. Virtue will take up arms against fury and make the battle short, because the ancient valor in Italian hearts is not yet dead. Is not yet dead. There's an appendix. There's letters celebrated in all Italian literature. Machiavelli describes one day in his life, remarks casually that he just completed The Prince. Really? Is this letter important? Niccolo Machiavelli to Francesco Vettori, Florence, December 10, 1513. Magnificent ambassador. Never were divine favors late. Petrarch, Triumph of Divinity, 13. I say this because I appear to have lost, no, mislaid your favor, since you have gone a long time without writing me, and I was doubtful whence the cause could arise. And of all those that came to my mind, I took little account except for one, when I feared you had stopped writing to me because someone had written to you that I was not a good warden of your letters. And I knew that apart from Filippo and Pagolo, no one else had seen them on account of me. I regained your favor by your last letter of the 23rd of last month, where I was very pleased to see how orderly and quietly you exercise this public office. And I urge you to continue so, for whoever lets go of his own convenience for the convenience of others only loses his own, gets no thanks from them, because fortune wants to do everything. She wants us to allow her to do it, to remain quiet and not give trouble, and to await the time at which she allows men something to do. And then it would be right for you to give more comfort, to watch things more, and for me to leave my villa and say, here I am. Therefore, wishing to return equal favors, I cannot tell you in this letter of mine anything other than what my life is like. And if you judge that it should be bartered for yours, I will be content to exchange it. I stay in my villa, and since these last chance events occurred, I have not spent, to add them all up, 20 days in Florence. Until now I have been catching thrushes with my own hands. I would get up before day, prepare traps, and go out with a bundle of cages on my back so that I would look like Ghetto when he returned from the harbor with Amphitryon's books. I caught at least 2, at most 6 thrushes, and so passed all September. Then this pastime, though annoying and strange, gave out to my displeasure, and what my life is like, I would tell you. I get up in the morning with the sun and go to a wood of mine, and that I am having cut down, where I stay for 2 hours to look over the work of the past day and to pass time with the woodcutters, who always have some disaster on their hands, either among themselves or with the neighbors. Regarding this wood, I would have 1,000 beautiful things to tell you of what happened to me with Fursino da Penzano and others who want wood from it. And Fursino in particular sent for a number of loads without telling me anything, and on payment wanted to hold back 10 lire from me, which he said he should have had from me 4 years ago when he beat me at Cricca at Antonio Guicciardini's. I began to raise the devil and was on the point of accusing the driver who had gone for it of theft, but Giovanni Machiavelli came between us and brought us to agree. Battisti, Guicciardini, Filippo Ginori, Tommaso del Bini, some other citizens, when that north wind was blowing, ordered a load each for me. I promised to all and sent one to Tommaso, which in Florence turned into a half load, because to stack it up there were himself, his wife, his servant, and his children, so that they look like Gabura with his boys when he bludgeons and knocks on Thursday. So when I saw whose profit it was, I told the others I had no more wood, and all have made a big point of it, especially Battista, who counts this among the other disasters of Prato. When I leave the wood, I go to a spring, and from there to an aviary of mine. I have a book under my arm, Dante or Petrarch, or one of the minor poets like Tibullus, Ovid, and such. I read of their amorous passions and their loves. I remember my own, enjoy myself for a while in this think, and then I move on along the road to the inn. I speak with those passing by. I ask them news of their places. I learn various things, and I note the various tastes and different fancies of men. In the meantime comes the hour to dine, and when I eat with my company what food this poor villa and tiny patrimony allow, having eaten, I return to the inn. There is the host, ordinarily a butcher, a miller, 2 bakers. With them I become a rascal for the whole day, playing at cricca and trick-track, from which arise 1,000 quarrels and countless abuses with insulting words, and most times we are fighting over a penny, and yet we can be heard shouting from San Cassiano. Thus involved with these vermin, I scrape the mold off my brain, and I satisfy the malignity of this fate of mine, as I am content to be trampled on this path, so as to see if she will be ashamed of it. When evening has come, I return to my house and go into my study. At the door I take off my clothes of the day, covered with mud and mire, and I put on my regal and courtly garments, and decently reclothed. I enter the ancient courts of ancient men, where received by them lovingly, I feed on the food that alone is mine and that I was born for. There I am not ashamed to speak with them, and to ask them the reason for their actions, and they in their humanity reply to me, and for the space of 4 hours I feel no boredom. I forget every pain. I do not fear poverty. Death does not frighten me. I deliver myself entirely to them, and because Dante says that to have understood without retaining does not make knowledge, I have noted what capital I have made from their conversation, and have composed a little work on principalities, where I delve as deeply as I can into reflections on this subject, debating what a principality is, of what kinds they are, how they are acquired, how they are maintained, why they are lost. And if you have ever been pleased by any of my whimsies, this one should not displease you, and to a prince, and especially to a new prince, it should be welcome. So I am addressing it to His Magnificence Giuliano Filippo Casavecchia Senate. He can give you an account in part both of the thing in itself and of the discussions I had with him, although I am all the time fattening and polishing it. You wish, magnificent ambassador, that I leave this life and come to enjoy your life with you. I will do it in any case, but what tempts me now are certain dealings of mine which I will have done in 6 weeks. What makes me be doubtful is that the Soderini are there, whom I would be forced If I came to visit and speak with, I should fear that at my return I would not expect to get off at my house, but I would get off at the Bargello, for although this state has very great foundations and great security, yet it is new because of this suspicious, nor does it lack wiseacres who, to appear like Pagolo Bertini, would let others run up a bill and leave me to think of paying. I beg you to relieve me of this fear, and then I will come in the time stated to meet you anyway. I have discussed with Filippo this little work of mine, whether to give it to him or not. And if it is good to give it, whether it would be good for me to take it or send it to you. Not giving it would make me fear that at the least it would not be read by Giuliano, and that this Ardinghelli would take for himself the honor of this latest effort of mine. The necessity that chases me makes me give it, because I am becoming worn out, and I cannot remain as I am for a long time without becoming despised because of poverty. Besides the desire I have that these Medici lords begin to make use of me, even if they should begin by making me roll a stone. For if I should not then win them over to me, I should complain of myself, and through this thing, if it were read, one would see that I have neither slept through nor played away the 15 years I have been at the study of the art of the state, and anyone should be glad to have the service of one who is full of experience at the expense of another, and one should not doubt my faith, because having always observed faith, I ought not now be learning to break it. Whoever has been faithful and good for 43 years, as I have, ought not to be able to change his nature, and of my faith and goodness, my poverty is witness. I should like then for you to write me again on how this matter appears to you, and I commend myself to you. Be prosperous, December 10th, 1513, Niccolo Machiavelli in Florence. Glossary, do we want to read the glossary? Machiavelli's Prince. There you go.